Right, hi Stuart and Nikki. I thought rather than mess around and send you loads of pictures, I'd try and explain. I think Heather's spoken to you today. This is your fantastic thing. I've got your centre in, nice and locked. Putting the wheel head on. Now this is the big one, obviously. And what's happening is this. When you put the clay on, because the surface area of the clay is stuck mainly to the actual plate former, when you're trying to throw the rim, if you like, it's actually stopping and starting to slide around. Now, I think, well, let me just tell the truth. In honesty, when I've made this size, these two don't remain, well, they remain independent of each other. They don't remain independent of each other. They tend to go okay because the weight of the clay seems to be more. But when they're making individually, especially on the small one, you do get that turn. And that degrades the pattern inside and everything else. So what I think the solution is, if I can get that off without wrecking the ends, is basically, and I also think it makes it probably different to the wheel attachment one. I'm just going to draw a quick line on here around the outside. I think what's needed, oh, there we go, that's quite handy, is another one of those inside this line here. Let's just say about here, and that in the same place on here, there. So when that goes down, it's locked. And I think the same on that. So you'd have one here and one here, for example, just on the inside. It doesn't need to go right through to the middle. Don't need a hole in the top, just needs to go there, because I do not believe once that's jammed that will turn. Plus, the more holes you have, the more chance you've got of actually impacting that on the clay. I have to be honest and say that there has been no impact on the clay at all. And I have done a bisque firing. And they have come out really quite nice. That's the pasta bowl size. That's the main plate with a nice rim. And that is the little plate. Again, it is a magnificent system. I love it. And also, you can do... I was practicing with my new little handy thing I use, but that's a different style one that hasn't actually got a rim, but it's quite a nice little tapas type dish. It's in a different clay because I'm testing different clays out, and I've done some little tests so I can now do some glazes to see how the glazes work on it, in the hope that I can do you a start to finish guide on how to do it. But I do think it needs that extra locking nut, if you like, so that it doesn't happen. See, that doesn't happen as well there. You know what I mean? That's going round. I'm struggling to stop that merely because of the weight of the two blobs on top. But as soon as you start taking them down to the one, you get that movement where it can just keep still. And you don't want to be pressing too hard. But all it needs is that hole drilled there and the matching one on here. I hope you can see that okay. Just there, and the same on the little plate, because the little plate's far worse, as you'd expect, because the surface area is an issue, isn't it? So as you're busy trying to do this, you've got your friction and it keeps still. I mean, it's all right. The other way around it, the way I'm going around, as you can see, this is a bit messy. All I do is run a sponge around here when I put the clay on. But you are then getting into the stage of, you could mess up your pattern. The wetter this is, the more water you add, obviously the more unstable clay becomes. But I think that is your solution, my dears. And I think that would make it sufficiently different for you to stop worrying about the American wheel attachment thing. So a notch there with another one of these in, like that, and then matching notch on the bottom only of this plate and this plate, the formers. And if you start selling different shape formers, the bottom former really needs to have that. It doesn't need you don't seem to get the problem, honestly, when you stick them both together, and they seem to stay quite nicely, but it's just getting that bottom one really truly fixed to the bottom of the plate. I hope that makes sense. I'll post this on Facebook, and I'll on my YouTube channel, and I'll send you a link, and give me a shout if you need anything else. I'm going to do test glazing on those test pieces and see how they come out, because I want them to look quite nice. And then when I've done that, I will send you the whole start to finish. And I'm getting a bit better at editing the videos now. So I can do a video of the rolling of the clay, patterning the clay, and then putting it onto the wheel. What I don't want to do, and what I've done the last twice I've tried to do it, put the wheel over, put the clay on the wheel, and of course I've had this spinning. And that's not great. That's not how we want to advertise it. So I think having that extra locking nut, it is bloody solid, it won't move, and it makes everyone's life even easier. There's no... Potters are very poor people to find an excuse in anything. I can't throw because my bat's not level. I'm sure you've probably heard that before. So if you take away all the excuses of what can possibly go wrong with your system, then they can't complain. And I just want you to make this because it's bloody brilliant. Rightio then, and I'll chat to you later. Take care.